We'll definitely figure it out.
Okay,
Absolutely.
awesome. Thank you, thank you.
Okay. I think the recording. Yeah. Okay, Olaf. Thanks. Oh, see, Olaf's very quick. Thanks, Olaf. I was about to do that. He already went there. All right. Great. Thank you. All right, Mohammed. I'll let you take over here.
Sure. Nice to meet you, Kenan. Mohammed Rashid. Let me kind of walk you through the typical use case that we kind of employ document analysis in. Document analysis is one of a set of components that we lovingly call touchless lending. The idea is to basically remove the humans in the loop as much as possible and do whether it's mortgage or auto lending, right? Whether it's mortgage or home lending or auto or personal or consumer or student lending in a more touchless way, less humans in the loop. And for that, obviously, we have to tackle with documents because borrowers upload um, rivers of papers that you have to review and look at and analyze and so forth. We also have other components as part of the touchless suite: income calculation, credit calculation, assets review. You're looking at home lending, so you might have collateral analysis, you will have title analysis, etc. Those are not relevant in our discussion today, so we're going to focus mainly on the document analysis piece. Um, I'm going to kind of lift the covers a bit on the document analysis, the way we approach it, and then Akash and Zakela will give you a demo of how that actually works tied into an LOS. Sendel and Kayla will do the demo. Akash will give you the technical background to it and kind of dive into it in a little bit more detail. And Michael, I think we have about 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes on that.
Yeah. I'll be guiding here. Let's just jump
Okay,
into it,
just
and
keep me keep
and
me
obviously, look, Keenan's going to lead. So if he wants to spend more time on it, we'll
sure.
accommodate. Obviously.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So lifting the cover on document analysis, what we have done is basically we don't have our own OCR engine. However, we have evaluated what's out there in the industry and we have hand curated a selected set to create a network of OCRs. Okay. So you have folks
Interesting.
that are, go ahead.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because we actually are in the same conundrum. We use Abby. I don't know if that's one of your tools.
It's
Um,
not.
it's not.
It's
Okay.
not. But our Abby is something that we actually, when we first started doing document analysis, we started with. Okay, so
Oh,
we are
okay.
very familiar with that engine, the OCR engine. Um, uh, for what we have today, it's a plug and play model. So we can plug in Abby, we can plug in other OCRs. It's kind of a network. What we have selected today is based on the documents that we cover. We have Acrolus, we have True.ai, we have Amazon's TextTract.
Wow.
We have a company called PropMix that does very specialized appraisal review kind of documents. And then we
Wow.
have our own kind of LLM based extraction capability. So we think of the document box as two boxes. The top box is the traditional OCR plug and play model. And then the bottom box is that, kind of LLM based extraction capability, including a Tavant based approach. And then we have a few other up and coming providers that are really good at doing this, looking at objects within a page and being able to understand at a meta level what those objects are and represent them correctly. So on the lower box, the agentic slash LLM box, we have our own Tavant, and then we're looking at Landing.ai, which is Andrew Ng's kind of
Heard
startup.
about it. Yep.
We have a few more that we're evaluating, Kaizen and et cetera, just to kind of have a holistic view in the bottom box as well. Okay.
So this is great. So Mohammed, sorry, I like
Yeah.
to ask a lot of questions so I
Yeah.
can
Please. Yes.
understand.
Absolutely.
Um, what you're doing basically is you take a bunch of OCR tags, but you actually um not train, but like you're based on the submission, you then pick the right one, and they're kind of pre-trained on financial documents. Is that fair? Which is great
Yeah.
because that's the hard part we found out with Abby, which
Yeah.
is you got to submit hundreds of docs for it to learn. Like there's a big learning phase.
That's right.
um, and so I actually got turned off by Abby. We did one big project with it. It was going to cost us because we had to hire Abby professional services. to do it for
Right.
us. When we couldn't figure it out, that cost us $100,000. It's $100 an hour for a month or so.
That's
So, but what we found is Gen AI in general is very good with this. So like it kind of eliminates the need for all these, but then I think there's probably some caveats in all this. So
Of
we're
course.
experimenting with Gen AI, so I'm sure you have a lot of learnings there. I'm looking forward to learning about that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You caught that. By the way, when I mentioned we started with Abby, so we had this was 5-6 years ago when we did Abby, and we actually trained 100 document types. That standard document types, W-2s, pay stubs, IDs, passport, bank statements, etc. on Abby, hundreds of samples, and we created a dictionary of the most common 100 document types. And then after that, it was like, oh, this is too much. This is a lot of work to get these documents in. Let's look at providers who do that for as a business, right? And so we hand curated them, and the plug and play model allows us not to be able to kind of take in and take out, right? So today, if you have Ocrolus and they're really good at bank statements, right? Tomorrow somebody else springs up and they are better bank statement provider, we can take out Ocrolus and plug them in. So that's why we kind of kept that architecture.
Agnostic, I like it.
Yeah, agnostic. And then the cascade model, meaning we can use the largest one of them that has the largest dictionary to classify, but then we route the extraction to an appropriate one, right? So if it's a gift letter, which is very unstructured, it's a letter of explanation of why I have a gift, we can route it to an agentic, do the LLM route. Once I know that there is this document in-house that's miscellaneous, it can be really handled by a traditional one. So you have a waterfall model as well working so that you pass through the main classifier. If it falls into the low confidence or miscellaneous area, then you take it through the agentic route. So eventually you figure out what that is. So that's kind of at a high level what we have built as part of the document analysis piece. Let's do a quick demo given the time frame we have. So what we'll do is Kayla will take a blob of documents from an LOS, right? You guys use Encompass on the mortgage side, I believe.
I'm going to throw a word, and I think it's Empower. No, Encino.
Encino is the piece.
Are you talking about home lending? Yeah, for home lending, it's either Empower or Encino.
Okay, so Encino is the point of sale. It's the point of sale system and a commercial lending system. Do you use Encino for the commercial lending side?
Not for commercial. I think we use it for point of sale. Then to your point, and so
yeah, I'm pretty sure it
could be Empower. Is Empower one of them?
Empower is an LOS. Yes.
Okay,
Empower
so we're using Empower then, I guess.
Perfect. So we actually agnostic of the LOS. We sit on top of multiple LOSs. The demo that Kayla will run is basically on Encompass. Very similar, right? It just looks a little bit different.
Encompass is a market leader, so don't worry.
So we'll take the blob there, we'll unpack the blob, do the classification, indexing, splitting, categorization, subcategorization. We actually put it back into the document folder, processed. So, for human interaction, if the human wants to go and look at the W-2, they're not opening up the 100-page blob anymore. They're going directly to the W-2, right? So we put it back there. And then we do the data extraction as well in order to take downstream analysis and computation of income, credit, asset, collateral. Okay. So Kayla will do that, and then Akash will show you the agentic one, where the LLM-based one, where we take documents and we train them and we do the queries and so forth. So we will try to handle the two demos very quickly and kind of give you a feel for it.
Perfect. Yeah. McKinsey showed us an end-to-end agentic home lending platform as well. So I'm excited to see what you guys have. It's a topic that's coming up more and more. Right now, we're doing like targeted agentic implementation for home lending, but we're taking the whole process. We're taking the bits but then I'm like, are we wasting time? Should we just look at the whole thing holistically? So I'm actually asking that question to my boss's boss.
Beautiful. So this one piece is a puzzle within a larger set of underwriting components that we have already developed. So if you ever want to expand out to the other components, income, credit, asset, collateral, title, fraud, conditions management, etc., we can show you the full suite. Okay. All right. Kayla and Sendil, please take it away. And then Akash. Please ask a question.
Thanks, Mohammed.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I know people because I ask questions in the middle of stuff.
No, that's great.
But
please, let's keep it interactive. Absolutely.
Thanks. So Keenan, what I'm showing you here is the document repository for Encompass for a particular loan file. So right now there's just nothing there. We haven't received any docs. They haven't been classified or extracted yet. So what will happen is when docs come in, they start coming in this file manager as unassigned. So we will do that, show you what that looks like when those documents come in. So they can come in individually, one at a time, multiples at a time, or the blob, like Mohammed mentioned. So I just wanted to show you a few here. Here we have a blob of documents where it looks like we have some pay stubs, W-2s, tax returns. There's so much, I won't go through every one. But Mohammed did specifically mention like some of those documents, like gift letters, for example, or letters of explanation that really don't always look the same. So here's an example of a gift letter. So we'll get to see it classified and extracted momentarily. Looks like we've got a bank statement in the file, but also we had a miscellaneous document that I want to show you because we want to show you what the system does when it receives something that it can't recognize and assign to the loan file. So, you know, kids' first day of school pictures, vacation pictures, or of course, some cute little puppies. So now that those documents are in the LOS, what happens is they're picked up by our touchless lending system. So I'm logging into the platform now, and I will go to that respective loan file. So as the underwriter, I haven't been in the file, haven't seen anything, nothing going on. This is where I'd come do my work. That's where we want to do that. So I'm going to open it up in the touchless platform and show you. We have this document repository here. It's the management of all of the documents that have come in and been classified and extracted and pushed back to the LOS. And we have this events log that provides a chronological history of everything that's happened on the loan since it first onboarded to our platform, starting with the most recent and working backwards. So just to show you real quick, as we scroll down, we can see that documents started coming in and were classified and extracted. And I wanted to point out that the documents don't just have the label as the lender wants them to be to match your respective document folders, but also adds things like the year. So tax returns, for example, that make it easier for your team members to identify. We can see 2023 documents, 2024 documents, our gift letter, for example. So now in the platform, if I wanted to see those documents, again, a mirror of what you would see in the LOS, I can open up the document manager, and now I can start reviewing those documents here. I'll also show you them back in Encompass as well. But when I open up this first one that says needs review, this is our placeholder for all documents that could not be identified. So for example, the picture of those puppies. So maybe you had a pay stub that had just been rescanned so many times it was illegible. It'll go to a needs review folder where your team members can then review it and see if they can move it somewhere or if they want to put it in your junk or archive, for example. But we just wanted to show you have that ability. And then things like the gift letter, for example. We can see our gift letter here. I'm going to go back to the LOS for a second, show you what it looks like when now the documents have been classified and extracted here. So here's our document repository now with everything in here instead of empty. That needs review, of course, we'll have the puppies coming up, just like we just saw in the touchless lending platform. You'll also see all of the other documents that we were looking at. I'm going to pull up that gift letter because I want to show you what we do with classified and extracted data. I'm going to make this a little larger for you. So here we can see our gift letter. There's a donation in the amount of $10,000, and it says no repayment of gift is expected. So we know that this is not expected to be repaid. It's for borrower Andy Michael America for the purchase of this property address. And we can see the source of the donor's funds coming from the donor's U.S. bank account. It's a checking ending in 5555. Also shows his relationship to the borrower, his name, all of his contact information, including his address and phone number, and then the signatures from he and the borrower. So now if I were to go look, we've developed a form. that we can place all of that extracted and classified information within the LOS. So this we've called the Touchless Lending Platform Data Extraction. I'm going to move this over just so we can see a little better. Starting at the top, we have some extracted information for appraisal, sales contract, and we'll look at that in just a second. But I really wanted to focus on this gift letter extraction. So gift letters aren't as common. They're different formats. Maybe a processor wrote it and gave it to the borrower to be able to review and sign, or maybe the borrower wrote it themselves or the donor. So they're not always the same from client to client or loan to loan. So here you can see we were able to extract the donor's information, that checking account number, phone number, address, the borrower's name. We even display how much the gift amount was on the gift letter. We answer the question, was the gift letter signed? That's all it was. And then was there any repayment of gift expected? And so for this one, that response was no. I can do the same thing with any of the other documents, like the sales contract, for example. This says the seller was Sam Seller, borrowers Andy America. It's for first source title and the date of the sales contract. So if we were to go back to our document repository here in the LOS or in Touchless, we can open up that respective document and validate that information. So we see it is Sam Seller. Andy America is our borrower. We can see the title company. Let's just go see title. It said first on the gift letter, on the touchless lending platform. Aha, there we go. First source title agency. And then of course we can scroll and see the sales date as well. So there we go.
Just to kind of quickly summarize, right? What you saw was documents in a blob coming in, right? Not index split or anything like that. Just a blob of pages came through in the LOS. So behind the scenes, we picked it up, right? It's an event-driven system. So we picked it up from the LOS. We went through the whole thing, the set of pages, indexed, split, categorized, subcategorized, extracted certain data sets, right? And then we put the split document back into the LOSE folder, the document repository for human easy access by humans, and then extracted some of the data for us to be able to process downstream. The reason we're showing you like the gift letter specifically is because the gift letter normally will not go through the traditional route. It will take it to the LLM route, ask those queries, right? Is it signed? Is it repayable? Now, traditional OCRs will not be able to answer those questions easily. So we take it through the LLM route, answer those questions, and then put the answers back so that underwriters can say, yeah, it's a gift letter. Is it the right donor? Is the right relationship? Where is it coming from, sourced from? Is it repayable, not repayable? Because that determines whether this is truly a gift or not. Did the borrower sign it, the donor sign it, et cetera, et cetera. So we take a lot of that human review that would have happened are already completed, done, and put back into the LOS for submission.
So this is not end-to-end because like in the stuff I've seen, even the underwriting is all automated. Like you guys can, but in this case, you're just focused on this.
In the demo today, we're just focused on the document part.
Yep.
But if you look at this is the workstation, Keenan. So if you look at Kayla, if you go to the top, those are the analysis services that you see on the top that have already happened. So decision, credit, collateral, income, assets. We're going to add title, fraud. And this is specifically for mortgage. That's why you see those analysis services, but it can be any analysis service that you deem necessary for your particular asset type.
So this looks actually very similar to the McKinsey solution and the BCG as well. Obviously, their UI is a bit different and all that. What I was going to ask you is, are any of your clients using this today, or is this still a prototype that you guys are?
This has been in production for many years, right? So, but we have it componentized. So lenders have the optionality to buy 1, 2, 3, 10 of these components altogether. The one where a lender has bought the full package, they have been running for since the beginning of the year. We have thousands of loans that have gone through this. All the components are available in production, deployed at multiple lenders. We again, 3 or 4 of these lenders have chosen the full package, right? One of them that we can actually call out and have you, talk to, etc. They've been running for at least the beginning of the year is PRMI. They're out of they're an independent mortgage banker. They do about 1,000 loans a month, and they funded loans. They have more applications coming in, but 1,000 funded loans a month, and they are using this platform end to end.
Very good. So it is so used by some lenders, and not banks, maybe just mortgage originators, I imagine.
Mortgage originators, and now we have a couple of the regional banks, right? I can't call them out specifically, but the likes of Citizens and Citibank and Regions and PNC, those guys are evaluating the platform today.
They're evaluating, okay, but they haven't actually using it. Because I can see, and I told the same thing to McKinsey, some level of risk with too much agentic without the human in the loop. There is a human in the loop, but then again, I think it's and maybe you agree or disagree, feel free to disagree as well, but the more agents you use, the more, and I don't know how accurate they are with this stuff, and I think maybe over time it gets obviously better and better. But one thing KeyBank is big on is like we don't like to be early adopters. We like to be fast followers.
Right.
I'll
give you. Sorry, Kenan. I'll give you my perspective. I know Olav has a very, very distinct perspective as well. So the way we build, because this is underwriting and we are in a heavily regulated environment, we're not using agentic, quote unquote, all the way. So not every analysis service is using agentic. In a lot of places, we are using rules-based approach, right? So where it really comes in handy is when, for example, you're looking at collateral analysis. You have an appraisal report that's 40 pages long, and you have appraiser comments, very free-form, ad hoc, English language comments. You can't really do it rules-based approach to look at the comments and find appraisal bias or find marketability issues, right? Appraisal bias could be, this is a rich neighborhood, right? It is right? So that is where we are judiciously using a LLM approach and agentic approach to kind of review that. We're looking at images, right? So when you're looking at an image, and I think Kayla will bring up one very shortly, how do you determine what is wrong in an image, right? For example, you have moss or mold or paint peelings or foundation cracks or water damage on cabinets. So there's a very good use of capability, AI capability there. Okay, so but a lot of places we have kept rules because those are highly deterministic. When you calculate income, for example, there's no reason to calculate income through an agentic way when you know exactly what algorithm the regulators want you to use, right? There's no question of certainty of the logic that goes through an income analysis or what's the qualified income for something.
I agree, and honestly, I saw you had Freddie Mac on there. Freddie Mac runs all their checks very thoroughly, manually. The rules are very specific. They don't use AI for underwriting. They use just business rules. Because I worked there for 8 years, so I was very familiar with this. So I think you still have that double check as well. So it's good that you're at least getting their perspective, which may or may not align as well with your own assessments. The other question I had is, so did you guys build all this from scratch? Or like, is that something Tavant is into now, like building software? Are you software provider? Because like I had the same question with McKinsey. It's like, hey, are you guys just going to give it to us? We maintain it, or is this like going to be like a software thing?
It's a SaaS model, right? So we host it on the cloud, multi-tenanted. We also have an ability to deploy it into your own environment if you want, but it is normally deployed as a SaaS model. And we built pretty much most of it. There are a couple of components that we did not build. I mentioned that we're sourcing the OCR engines from outside, right? So we went through that in detail. I don't want to go over it again, but we built a multiplexer on top, right? The glue that puts all those network of OCRs together and the LLM-based route as well. but a lot of that is, products from outside. On the income side, because income is highly regulated, we didn't build it in-house. We are sourcing it from providers who are rep and warranted by Fannie and Freddie, right? And certification by Fannie and Freddie take a long time. So we basically said, okay, you guys have it. We're going to plug and play with you. But asset, collateral, credit, title, fraud, those we wrote ourselves. Those are our own services. And we're adding more and more capability to it. Olaf had a comment. I just want to make sure that he has the floor for a bit.
Thank you, Mohammed. So you're asking exactly the relevant questions, right? How do we use a human in the loop? How do we make sure it works and whatnot? So I've two very crisp points. One is, if you can get away with the rules and they work fine, don't use agents. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? So, but of course, there's lots of situations where you do need agents. Now, before we started this call, like officially, we talked a little bit about machine learning, right? Where you have this crystallized workflow of training, testing, validation. And this has been developed since, I don't know, the 2000s. And in the beginning time of machine learning, everybody was also like, okay, I have a data set. Hey, it runs, and now we have predictions, right? And now over a decade or two, we got this very crisp workflow. This workflow translates one-on-one to agents. However, not a lot of companies that I see use this workflow yet, maybe because they are not like fully on board with the newest agent technology and whatnot. But if we provide an agent, right, first, during the setup, it is not like, oh, here's an agent, believe it does it work, right? You have to have a lot of base material. We push that through the agent, we evaluate it. You can see how that works. You can see where it fails, where you can put off your confidence scores. So like, this is still human in the loop. This is 100% handled. And then the other part is the observability during the running, right? Once this is in production, you have complete observability of how this works, what works, the review processes, potentially things like LLM as a judge. So there's a complete, we have developed a complete methodology around ensuring that agents actually work and do as they do what they're supposed to do, rather than just saying like, hey, here's an agent, trust us.
Yeah.
And I think, Mohammed, it's sorry, Keenan, it's Christoph. I joined a bit late. Mohammed, it's worth pointing out that when we roll these things out, right, we actually start with a very high percentage of human in the loop, because we run things in parallel and we validate them. Now, we have pushed the accuracy of what Kayla showed you, Keenan, to north of 90%. But that's not where it starts, right? It starts at much lower percentages. It validates, it nudges up. So it's a bit of a, compliance process that underpins the rollout of this. But you can get to very high, reliable levels with, of course, all the checks that are in place in production that Olaf just laid out, to make sure that you're staying within certain confidence interval and other things go out to humans in the loop. So there's a lot of ways to progress that. It has been demonstrated that gives us confidence. Although there are areas in the application where it's newer, right? And you have to build that confidence over time.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Thanks for sharing this.
Do you want Akash? I think we'll cover a little bit on the Akash side, maybe 5 minutes. You want to show the agentic capability? Monish and Akash maybe talk the technical side of this a little bit. I don't want to go beyond 5 minutes because Olaf has other topics to cover.
Sure. I'll quickly show the demo from the agentic side. Sir. You don't have this. Okay, what we are doing in this case is we are doing the instant document validation, and the use case, especially what I'm going to demo here, is when a borrower is coming and he need to upload certain documents. So as soon as a borrower is uploading the document, we are doing some sort of validations, so that as soon as borrower is uploading the document he or she will know what's wrong and this can be corrected. And this document is intentionally added incorrectly so that we can see the demonstration. So if you see this, in this case, it is clearly saying what is there into your URLA form and what is there in the form. Also, as Mohammed mentioned a couple of minutes back, based on the documents, we are deciding what are the basic validation we need to do, whether the document is valid or it's invalid. All the details will be shared with the borrowers. And if the document is passing all the criteria, whatever is needed, so that at a later point of time, underwriters can review, this document will go through and there won't be any error shown. So this one example I have shown for the ID. Similarly, we can do it for the any document related to the income. I'm going to show one more document.
So here is a real-time feedback loop, Keenan. So instead of a batch blob coming in that we showed you before, here is a situation, a use case where the borrower is uploading specific documents and the engine is basically going through it and giving you instant feedback on that document. I expect a W-2, you uploaded a bank statement. I expect a W-2 in a certain time frame, you gave me 5 years ago. I expect a W-2 in your name, you gave me your wife's, right? So those are things that are immediately pointed out by an LLM-based capability to say, look, you upload the right doc so that we don't have the wrong one and we have to communicate 5 days later to you.
So this is customer facing.
Customer facing.
Yes.
Real-time feedback, instant feedback on the document that was uploaded.
And is that being used by any customer today?
So that is in our point of sale. That is part of the feature functionality that we include. And by point of sale, I mean where the borrower is coming in and applying for the loan and they're uploading certain documents against conditions, etc. We actually have that in our point of sale and we're providing real-time feedback on what they upload through, and again, another agent that's talking to the borrower, right? So you may have seen that demo. I am not sure if you haven't, we can quickly demo that for you. But that is in production. And what you're showing right now is actually a production look and feel. We've just kind of taken the logo out of the picture to anonymize it.
Okay, all right, no, that's fair. And again, I guess who's using it, right? Because I may be applying for a home loan soon. Like I haven't seen yet the full agentic, and some of the home lenders, I guess, how's the adoption going of that?
So if you go through Guild Mortgage, you will see our point of sale system there. They are slowly deploying agentic capabilities to the POS, so you may see some of that on the Guild Mortgage side. So if you go through the Guild Mortgage application, and we can demo our full agentic point of sale in another phase because it's a longer demo. Maybe Olav, if you get a chance to kind of showcase some of that, a brief look at the agentic point of sale, just to kind of give a color to the Keenan, what it looks like.
I will be showing the agentic deposit agent.
Okay, yeah, actually
Excellent.
that'll
Right.
do two birds with one stone, actually, because it'll be very similar on the point of sale side.
But
All right,
Keenan, I think
Olav.
generally every lender I think I have talked to wants to cross over from POS into LOS. And when borrowers are ready during the application process to share documents, give access to bank accounts and so forth, they want to fold that right in and give feedback right away. So I think there is a wave coming to make the POS application taking process ever more inclusive and real time and responsive. And that we see as a clear trend across the industry.
Okay. Good. All right. Well, that's interesting. All right. No, this is good. And the fact that you guys built all that from scratch means you have sort of mastered the technology. That's the way I see it. So if we need to take bits and pieces, you guys can probably use the tech you use in those applications and
Yeah.
apply that
Yeah.
for us. So
And Keenan, we may not have conveyed this. We've been doing this for 25 years.
Yeah.
One of the origins of Tavant happens to be in the mortgage space. We have built LOSs 2 decades ago and then just enhanced the underlying technology. So domain and technology, I think, is both in our mastery.
Yeah, and I don't know how we, if you know how we got introduced, but Cecilia
Yes.
Rain told me that you guys work with Freddie Mac quite a bit before, so I believe
right.
you for sure. Yeah, the
Yeah.
home lending
Yeah.
thing seems to be one of your
Yeah.
strengths for sure. So okay, good
Yeah.
stuff.
Ola, should we
All right.
move over to the banking side?
Yes, Olav.
Cool. So let me share my screen, make sure I include sound. So before I'm going to show, let me like kind of introduce this, right? So I want to show two components that are related. The first one is like this cash flow optimization idea. But I mean, you can have all kind of interesting ideas about how a customer can optimize their cash flow, or how you can cross-sell to a customer. The key is, what is the customer interaction model, right? How do you communicate that to the customer? I mean, I'm a Wells Fargo customer. You don't want to know how many mails I get sent every week. Like, do you want a credit card? You want a home loan? And the next week, you want a credit card? I mean, I never say yes to that. So, but they don't stop sending me. So they don't learn anything. Right? There needs to be a new interaction model, and that's hopefully what we're showing you. Now, that's one. So the way I envision that is, we have a way that basically operates in the line of cross-selling without you realizing it, and just being genuinely helpful in helping you arrange your finances, right? And sometimes that helping is cross-selling. Now, the question then is, okay, if an agent tells me how to optimize my finances, we talked about what predictions are, right? Do you have an agent make that next best action prediction? That is wild, right? That we're not relying on that. And so the back end of this is a different module, where you basically have a complete next best action machine learning approach that then informs the front end to use those recommendations that you kind of like interact with the customer in the form of an avatar. Okay, so you have not seen anything, but this is my framework. Let me show, and then we'll see where you have questions. So I'm gonna log into kind of a demo portal of a banking app as Alex. She's a software engineer, and she basically logs in to her account that is now, she checked the box. Okay, do agentic enabled. Now, what you see here is the agent trace. I can hide that. Obviously, this is the agent trace is not something that a customer would see normally. But I'm going to show you this, because otherwise you think, well, you just hide something in the prompt to make it say what it says, and then there's nothing. What is really happening? And so this agent trace kind of shows you truly what is in the backend. So as I'm Alex, I come in and I say, okay, that's interesting.
Hi, I'm Maya, your AI banking assistant. I'm here to help you manage your finances, track spending, and reach your savings goals. Feel free to ask me anything.
All right. Well, sounds interesting, but what can you do for me?
One great opportunity I can suggest is to make your savings work harder for you. Right now, you have about $25,000 in savings. If you move that into a money market account, you could potentially earn around $1,125 more in interest per year. Would you like to explore that option together?
Wow, that sounds like awesome. How do we do that?
I've pulled up the details for you. Please review and approve the transfer on screen to get started with the money market account. This will help you earn that extra interest.
Okay, that sounds good, but can we start with $10,000 maybe?
Great. We can start with $10,000. Please go ahead and review the details on your screen and approve the transfer when you're ready. Once you confirm, you'll be all set.
Okay, that's great. Now, the other things, can you help me analyze my expenses?
Sure. I've sent your expense analysis request to the chat interface. You should see a detailed breakdown with visualizations on your screen. If you have any specific areas you want to dive into, just let me know.
Olaf, you're on mute.
Let me do it like this. I just muted the agent so she can't hear me, because otherwise, if I speak if I speak to you, the agent is listening as well. So here on the right side, again, you normally wouldn't see this, right? But it is what I linked this agent up with is an MCP server that has the ability to go in your basically your account details and your transaction details. Now, of course, completely read only would not be able to write anything, but you see it actually does something. It executes queries, gets details back, and then all those details are compiled back into a nice little report that shows what the key insights are of you spending your money. And of course, you can understand that I can now continue conversing with this agent. I'm happy to explore this further, but let me pause for a second and see. Does this interaction make sense to you?
I mean, I think it's incredible. I think obviously having an interactive banking platform where you talk to a virtual assistant, they help you transfer money, analyze your expenses, do things for you. I mean, that's great. That's, I think, futuristic. Personally, as a client, I would love that. I don't know, obviously at the key bank level, if it's something that, hey, we're ready for because of all the risk with AI that may or may not exist. I mean, they exist, but then they may not be as big or as small. Like we don't know yet how risky things are, but and also we don't know yet if we want to put a lot of AI in front of customers yet, versus focusing this year on like internal stuff like a mortgage review, like something like that versus. But I mean, just seeing this is kind of like awesome to know. Like I think this is where overall the industry is going to be headed soon. And the first early adopter banks that take this, I think, will give the customers a unique interaction model and may give them an edge for sure. So I mean, this is awesome.
Thank you.
So, we generated it a bit as a art of the possible type, stretch the imagination. You can obviously say where that goes, and you have been in banking for a long time, right? This 1 to whatever thousands of customer personal advisor who never does anything for you. Really, at the end of the day, this is an opportunity to really bring advice in a conversational way to the masses, to every customer, and help them optimize. The other thing that we see, Kenan, is that truly no bank really fully optimizes the financial picture of a customer, right? You have to kind of yourself manage your debits and credits and optimize. Nobody moves your high revolving credit card proactively into an unsecured loan, right? Or offers you up a HELOC to do that right away and then makes it convenient to get there. But we think that's where it's going to go, and we're just showing that it is entirely possible technologically, and then there's multiple obstacles. But it also opens up a roadmap, right, to kind of keep easing and stepping into this with an end game in mind, and working towards that. And that's kind of what we're starting to work with customers on. You're right. Nobody's going to jump into this end game, right? It's many questions to be answered.
I agree with that, and I think what you should probably think about. I mean, you can build an agnostic platform, because I imagine most people have their money in different spots. Like maybe you work with Merrill Lynch, maybe you have accounts with Wells Fargo, with whatever, right?
Right.
Like a platform that can integrate with those, with your different money, like I have E-Trade, I have this, and then just purely generate these insights. Maybe not take action, but it can generate question. You can talk to the, hey, what should I do with this? It could say, you move your money from Wells to your Merrill Lynch because you can get higher interest rate there, yada yada. I mean, this is quite interesting for sure. And there's different avenues and different potential business models that you can take from something like this, because I'm sure banks themselves want to have this, but they may not get the full financial picture. I think if you're aiming for full financial, you probably want something a little more agnostic to a bank versus a banking app itself, although both are very good, viable things. But I just feel like banks will be slow to adopt this unless they see other banks do it as well.
Yeah.
Just a couple of thoughts here, but this is definitely the future for sure.
And I don't know how far you go ahead, Olaf. Go ahead.
This is my prediction. So you're exactly mentioning the two modes, right? So the forward-thinking consumers, sooner than you would imagine, have their personal agent that can just do all your banking for you, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could put today, if I would use my AI agent and I link it up to Plate or something, it will do everything for me. Now, here's the danger. You completely lose access to the customer, because this customer is now filtered. Your message from your banking account is filtered through the agent, and the agent decides for you, will I give this to the user or not? Now, I think that the AI agent, the consumer that will use an AI agent, is a really forward-thinking customer that is a specific segment. The other segment that are maybe more traditional people will just go into their bank account, and this is your opportunity to kind of cross an upsell without cross an upselling, right? So I have another, like, you can imagine how that works, but there's another, I think it's the junior marketing analyst who indeed has a credit card debt. And the first thing that this agent is saying, like, hey, look, you're paying a lot of interest here. I can move it to a loan, right? And you have that offer there. If you make that cross banking, then suddenly you lose the interest rate from the personal loan because an alternative bank has a higher interest or a lower interest rate on that personal loan or whatnot, right? So that is for me the choice.
100%. And if you build this even like independently, like let's say from the banking, you can even have advertising. Like let's say Merrill Lynch gives you some money to be, hey, can you get your customers can you promote my products more? And there's a lot of opportunities as well to do that as well. But to your point, the bank itself has benefits from, like, we can sell our products first and get direct access to without the filter. So that's great. That's a great point.
So
Michael, should we chat about next steps, given that we have only 10 minutes left, or how should we best proceed?
Can I very quickly show the next best action idea behind it? Right? So because again, the agent is not gonna decide by itself, hey, by the way, do you want a personal loan, right? That is something that you need to approve in a way from a bank's perspective, with other agents or rules that kind of lists for your customers what is their next best action, and potentially with a propensity model. And so there is a next best action demo or an approach that looks at customers, and now you can actually look at a particular customer and understand what products do they have today, and what can we offer them, and why should we offer that. And so now suddenly we're in the land of machine learning, because those what is your next best action is something that you compute based on data and current, like, uptake patterns of customers and whatnot. So here we see a customer with a certain customer lifetime value. They have products. You kind of understand their live events. You understand how they transact with your channels, and all that kind of ends up in, like, your set of next best actions that can be explained why the model predicts that, right? This is called SHAP. Undoubtedly, you might be familiar with that, given your machine learning background. So you can now basically understand what you want to offer this customer and why you want it. And if you would want so, you have the ability to take a what if simulator, right? Where you take a customer and you say, hey, this is the auto loan. What happens if this customer, we were to upgrade, or she would have a higher annual income? Well, here you see suddenly she becomes available for a life insurance as a recommendation as opposed to a car loan. Okay, so look, very quick, we can talk a different time about this in much more depth, but I just wanted to point out that the next best action informs the agent on the front end to kind of interact with the customer to seamlessly mix advice and help and genuinely like financial insight to help the customer.
Okay, I mean, this is good. Do you use, let's say, we give you transaction data? Because one thing we're looking at right now is client contact strategy that Umesh is looking at. And with a couple of my peers. One thing we're wondering is like, hey, if I feed some sort of AI, maybe like this, all our clients' transactions, contacts to the bank, like what kind of assets they have with us, you guys can make recommendations for our
Exactly.
products. Okay.
That's exactly what this is. So you see, there's feature engineering going on, there's demographic data, there's product holding data, right? There's behavioral and transactional data, there's channel engagement data, there's live event data, there's derived data, and then I built for every product a gradient boosted tree machine learning model that predicts the next best action. You combine them all, and then you create an outcome for that. And to your point, in the outreach, and I did it a little bit over the top, right? It will compile in a second. So if we have different channels, email, mobile push, brand visit, right? So I can generate a message for this specific person. And of course, you need to do that with the proper guidelines. But if you read this, and again, this is over the top, huh? So like, I hope you transition to your new role, right? We've seen a position change and substantial deposits. And now we would recommend this. And this is creepy, right? If you send this email to someone, you're like, well, how are you following every step of what I'm doing? However, it makes the point that you truly can make an approach to a customer completely suitable and specific to their life. And of course, you need to make it non-creepy, but it is possible based on the data that you have and based on your next best actions that you compute using your machine learning models.
Yeah, I mean, this is great. This is absolutely good because we can orchestrate that with Adobe or something inside. So, I mean, this is really good. I'd love to. Send me the recording, Mike, when you get the chance, because I want to show. I have an on-site with my boss and our entire leadership team next week in New York City. I'll be in New York City with my boss, but I'd love to show him some clips of this recording just to show him, hey, there's already platforms out there that can do next best action, and Tavant obviously is a great example there. So and this is what they built. But yeah, I mean, you guys, today's demo was great because you hit on all the things that we've been really wondering about. So no, it's all good stuff, guys. I love this.
Well, fantastic.
And we'd be happy, Keenan, to take your data and run a proof of concept and bring it to life in your real business context.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm sure we can figure something out. And you guys already have a relationship with KeyBank, right, Mike? You mentioned there's already
yes. Yeah, we do. I reached out to onboarding as well. We're all set. We're all set on the MSA side.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, let me run this by all the stuff I heard today. Like I'll run it by Umesh next week. I mean, we'll be out and about. I think this is really helpful. Helps us really see the potential of all this stuff there. So I appreciate everybody's time and all your, all the work you put into this already. Yeah.
And